Raphael watched Marina through the bathroom mirror as she brushed her hair, sitting on the edge of the bed. 15 years of marriage should have created an intimacy impossible to break. But there he was, looking at his wife as if looking at a stranger. She didn't smile like before. She didn't touch him with that spontaneity that once made him feel the luckiest man in the world. When did everything change? Raphael couldn't identify the exact moment. Perhaps there wasn't one moment. Perhaps it was like those beaches that the tide takes away, grain by grain, until one day you look and no longer recognize the shore. Marina put the brush away in the drawer without looking at him. She put on her blue silk pajamas, the one he had given her for her last birthday, and that remained impeccable, as if rarely used. She lay down with her back to him, as she always did in recent weeks. "Good night," she murmured, her voice distant, like a farewell. "Good night," Raphael replied. But the word hung in the air, finding no echo. He turned off the light and stared at the ceiling in the dark. Marina's phone vibrated on the nightstand. Once, twice. She didn't move, but Raphael sensed she was awake. He could tell by her breathing. It didn't yet have that slow, deep rhythm of sleep. Who would be sending messages to his wife at 11 at night? The doubt was like a seed planted in fertile soil, and Raphael hated himself for it. Marina had always been the most upright woman he knew, loyal, dedicated, impeccable mother to the 2 children who now studied in another city. But people change, don't they? Loneliness changes people. Boredom changes people. And he had been boring lately. He knew it.
In the following days, Raphael began to observe. It wasn't spying. He convinced himself of that. It was just attention. Marina spent hours on her phone. She sometimes smiled at the screen, a shy smile he hadn't seen directed at him in months. She started taking more care of her appearance. Nothing scandalous, just renewed care. Nails always done, hair with a new cut, that blouse that highlighted her brown eyes. "You look beautiful," he said one Saturday morning. Marina seemed surprised, as if she had forgotten he still saw her. "Thank you," she responded, but didn't elaborate. She didn't ask if he wanted to do something together. She just grabbed her purse and said she was meeting friends. Friends. Raphael wondered if it was true. It was on a Tuesday, while Marina was showering, that Raphael did something he never imagined he'd be capable of. He grabbed her phone. He tried to unlock it. She had changed the password. Before, it was their anniversary date. Now, it was something else. Raphael's heart raced. People don't change passwords without a reason. People don't hide phones from their spouses unless they have something to hide. When Marina came out of the shower, he was sitting in the bedroom armchair, laptop on his lap, but his mind far from any spreadsheet. "Rafa, are you okay?" she asked, a towel wrapped around her body. "Perfectly fine," he lied. But he wasn't fine. And that night, sleepless, Raphael made a decision that would change everything. The idea came as a passing madness, but settled in as a necessity. Raphael needed to know. He couldn't continue living in that corrosive uncertainty. If Marina was talking to another man, if she was considering betraying their vows, he had the right to know. Or at least that's what he repeated to himself while creating a fake Instagram profile. Sitting in his office with the door locked, Raphael carefully thought about each detail. It couldn't be just any profile, it had to be someone who would attract Marina but without raising suspicions. Name: Leonardo Andrade. A common name, but with a certain sophistication. Age: 43 years old, 4 years younger than him. Profession:
architect. Marina had always admired creative men. She herself was a graphic designer, although she only worked on freelance projects since the children were born. Raphael spent hours choosing the photos. He couldn't use images that were too professional, it would seem fake. He found the profile of a Spanish architect with few followers, someone unlikely to be discovered. He downloaded some photos: a man with his back turned watching the sea at sunset, a cup of coffee on a rustic wooden table, a sketchbook with architectural drawings, a photo of a golden retriever dog. The biography was carefully crafted: designing spaces, building silences. Pet Dad, I believe in new beginnings. The last sentence was calculated. If Marina was unhappy, if she was looking for something outside the marriage, the word new beginnings would be an irresistible hook. Raphael took a deep breath before clicking Create Account. His fingers trembled. He could still go back, delete everything, and pretend it had never crossed his mind. But then he remembered Marina's smile at her phone, the messages at dawn, the changed password. He created the account.
Marina's profile was public. She posted little: some design work, landscape photos, the occasional image of the children. Nothing too personal. Raphael had always thought she was discreet on social media, and that had always seemed like a quality. Now, looking from the outside, as Leonardo Andrade, he wondered what conversations happened in private messages. He started following some mutual connections: designers, artists, architecture profiles. He needed the profile to seem real before any move toward Marina. For 3 days, Leonardo Andrade liked posts, commented on some publications, gained some followers. And then, on a Thursday night, while Marina watched a series in the living room, Raphael sent the first message. Hi Marina, I loved your portfolio. Your work with typography is exceptional. Have you ever thought about doing a collaboration with an architectural project? I think our styles could work well together. Professional, respectful, nothing threatening. Raphael sent it and felt his stomach turn. He put his phone in his pocket and went to the living room, sitting next to Marina on the couch. She was so focused on the TV that she barely noticed his presence. He looked at her, the delicate profile, hair falling over her shoulder, her hand absent-mindedly holding the remote control. Did he still know her? Her phone on the coffee table lit up with a notification. Marina picked it up, looked at the screen, and Raphael saw, just for a fraction of a second, a small smile appear on her lips before she unlocked the phone. She was reading Leonardo's message. Raphael felt his heart race. He forced himself to look at the TV, pretending interest in a chase scene that made no sense to him. Out of the corner of his eye, he saw Marina typing something. After a few seconds, she locked her phone and went back to watching the series. Raphael waited 20 agonizing minutes before getting up, claiming he was going to get water from the kitchen. On the way, he grabbed his own phone and opened Instagram. Marina had responded. Hi, Leonardo. How nice that you liked my work. I'm flattered. I've never thought about collaboration with architecture, but it sounds like an interesting idea. Do you have any project in mind? The response was polite, professional, nothing much. Raphael should have felt relieved, but instead he felt a dark determination grow inside him. That was just the beginning. He needed to go deeper. He needed to be sure.
During the following days, Raphael and Marina, or rather, Leonardo and Marina, began to exchange messages regularly. What started as conversations about design and architecture slowly began to drift into more personal subjects. Leonardo mentioned he was divorced, that the marriage had ended because he and his ex-wife simply stopped seeing each other, even being in the same house. A lie based on the fear of a truth. Marina took a few hours to respond to that message. When she did, her response was longer than the previous ones. I understand perfectly what you mean. Sometimes people become invisible to each other, don't they? It's possible to feel lonely even next to someone. Raphael read that message 5 times. Each word was a stab. Marina felt lonely. Next to him, in their marriage. As Leonardo, he responded, "That's exactly it. Loneliness between 2 people is the worst of all, because it carries the weight of the memory of what was once different. Are you speaking from personal experience?" He sent it and immediately regretted it. He was going too fast, but it was too late. Marina's response took time. Raphael was having dinner with her, the table set, both eating in silence, as usual, when her phone vibrated. She looked, and Raphael saw something move in her face, a vulnerability, a sadness. That night, when he could finally check the messages, Marina had written, "Maybe. I'm not sure. I think there comes a moment when you look at your life and no longer recognize who you've become, or who the person next to you has become. Sorry, that got too personal. I don't even know you well, and I'm already dumping existential philosophical thoughts." The emoji tried to bring lightness, but Raphael felt the real weight behind the words. As Leonardo, he responded, "You don't need to apologize. Sometimes it's easier to talk about these things with someone from the outside, you know? No judgments, no shared history. And look, from the little we've talked, you seem like an incredible person who maybe just needs to remember that." Marina took half an hour to respond. When she did, she wrote only, "Thank you. I needed to hear that."
And so it was, night after night, that the conversations deepened. Leonardo became a confidant for Marina in a way that Raphael, the real Raphael, hadn't been for a long time. She talked about the children, about how she missed them now that they were at university. She talked about her design projects, about difficult clients, about the frustration of feeling her talent was wasted on small jobs. "I used to have bigger ambitions," she wrote on a Tuesday night. "I wanted to have my own studio, work with big brands. But then the kids came, and I don't regret for a second having chosen to be present in their lives. But now that they're gone, I feel like I've forgotten who I was before being a mother." Raphael, reading that in the bathroom while Marina was already asleep, felt guilt squeeze his chest. Did he know this? Did he know Marina felt this way? Why had she never talked to him about it? But he knew the answer, because he had never really asked. When was the last time he really asked, "How are you?" and waited for a true answer? As Leonardo, he wrote, "You haven't forgotten who you were. That person is still there. Sometimes we just need someone to remind us of that. Someone who truly sees us." And then, gathering courage, he added, "I'd love to meet you in person, have a coffee, talk without a phone screen between us. What do you think?" Raphael sent the message and put his phone on the bathroom counter as if it burned. What was he doing? He was setting up a meeting with his own wife. He was taking that farce to a completely different level. But he needed to know. He needed to see how far Marina would go.
The answer came the next morning. Raphael was having breakfast. Marina was making fresh coffee, both in a silent and mechanical morning dance of 15 years of habit. Her phone was on the table. The screen lit up. Raphael saw the name, Leonardo Andrade. Marina grabbed the phone quickly, as if she didn't want him to see. She read the message. And then, to Raphael's horror and fascination, she smiled. A small, shy smile, but genuine. She took her phone to the bedroom before responding. Raphael waited until she left for the gym to check the response as Leonardo. "I'd love to too, but I confess I'm a bit nervous. It's been so long since I did something like this." Raphael's heart was racing,
Marina had accepted. His wife had agreed to go out with another man. Or was she just agreeing to meet a colleague for a professional coffee? He tried to convince himself of that, but Marina's message had a shyness, a vulnerability that went beyond professional. As Leonardo, he set up, "How about Saturday afternoon? I know a great coffee shop downtown. Grão e Poesia. Know it?" It was a coffee shop where he and Marina had gone on their first date 20 years ago. He needed to know if she would remember. The response came quickly. "I know it. Haven't been there in years, but I know it. Saturday, 3 p.m. I'll be there."
3 days until Saturday, and Raphael was on the verge of a nervous breakdown. What had seemed like a necessary idea now revealed itself to be a trap in which he himself had fallen. How would he show up at the meeting? How would Marina react to discovering that Leonardo was him? Part of him wanted to cancel everything, show up as Raphael on Saturday, suggest they go together to Grão e Poesia, win back his wife as himself. But another part, the hurt part, the part that needed the truth, knew he needed to see it through to the end. Marina was different. Since she had set up the meeting with Leonardo, there was a renewed energy in her. Raphael saw it in small details. She hummed while preparing dinner, something she hadn't done in months. She was laughing more on the phone with friends. She had bought a new dress. He saw the store bag in the closet. "Are you going out Saturday?" he asked, trying to sound casual while they had breakfast on Thursday. Marina almost dropped her cup. "How do you know?" "I saw the dress bag in the closet. I thought it might be for some special occasion." She relaxed, but not completely. "Oh, yes. I'm meeting a friend. It's been a while since I've gone out." A friend. The lie came too easily from her lips, and it hurt Raphael more than he expected. "That's good," he said, forcing a smile. "You deserve to go out more." That night, lying in bed while Marina slept beside him, Raphael elaborated his plan. He wouldn't show up as Leonardo. He would show up as Raphael. But only after he saw what Marina would do. How long would she wait for Leonardo? How would she be dressed? How would she act? He would arrive late, coincidentally pass by the coffee shop, and find Marina there. He would observe her reaction, see if she seemed guilty or simply surprised. And then he would decide whether to tell the truth or not. Friday was a strange day. Marina was anxious. He could feel it. She cleaned the entire house, something she normally left for the weekend. She was restless, constantly checking her phone. At night, during dinner, Raphael as Leonardo sent a message. "Anxious about tomorrow. It's been a while since I felt this way before meeting someone." It was true. It had been a while since Raphael felt that mixture of anxiety and expectation, even if it was in a completely distorted situation. Marina read the message at the dinner table. Raphael saw the blush rise in her cheeks. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yes," she responded too quickly. "Just a client with last-minute questions." Another lie. That night, Raphael could barely sleep. He lay watching Marina, studying her face in the room's dimness. The small wrinkles around her eyes, the curve of her lips, the strand of hair that always fell over her forehead. He loved this woman, had loved her for 20 years, and he was about to do something that could destroy everything, or save everything. There was no middle ground. Saturday dawned with a clear, sunny sky, the kind of day that seemed to conspire for everything to happen. Marina woke up early, and Raphael pretended to still be asleep as she went to the bathroom. He heard the shower turn on, heard her singing softly, a song he didn't recognize but that had a hopeful tone. When she came out, Raphael got up too.
They both circled the house in that uncomfortable dance of a couple that barely speaks. Marina made an elaborate breakfast: scrambled eggs, fruit, bread on the griddle. She was nervous, it was obvious. She ate little, spoke even less. "You're strange today," Raphael ventured. "Am I?" "Yes, nervous." Marina shrugged, avoiding his gaze. "I guess it's because it's been a while since I've gone out. You know how it is." He didn't know, or pretended not to know.
At 2 in the afternoon, Marina started getting ready. Raphael was in the living room, pretending to read a book, but his mind was racing at 1,000 miles per hour. He heard the hairdryer, imagined her choosing the new dress, putting on makeup. When she came out of the bedroom at 2:40, Raphael almost lost his breath. Marina looked beautiful. Not just pretty, beautiful in a way he hadn't seen in years. The navy blue dress fell perfectly on her body. Her hair was loose and shiny, subtle makeup that highlighted her brown eyes. "You look incredible," he said, and didn't need to fake the amazement in his voice. Marina smiled, but seemed uncomfortable with the compliment. "Thank you. Am I not overdoing it?" "Not at all." She grabbed her purse, checked her phone once more. "Well, I'm going then." "Marina!" Raphael called her when she was almost at the door. She turned. "Yes?" He wanted to say so many things. He wanted to say he loved her, that he missed her, that he didn't know when they had lost each other, but wanted to find each other again. He wanted to tell everything about Leonardo, about the fake profile, about the stupid test he had created. But he didn't say any of that. "Have fun," is what came out. And Marina left. Raphael waited 5 minutes before acting. He grabbed his car keys, a jacket, and left too. Grau and Poesia was 20 minutes from home. Marina was probably already on her way. He drove on autopilot, hands sweating on the steering wheel, heart beating so hard it seemed to be in his ear. What he was about to do was madness, but it was too late to turn back. He arrived at the coffee shop at 3:10. He parked on the side street, from where he had a view of the entrance. And there she was, Marina, sitting at a table near the window, nervously fidgeting with a coffee cup, looking at the door every time someone entered. She was waiting for Leonardo. Raphael felt a mixture of anger and sadness, but also something more, a kind of painful understanding. Because Marina didn't look like a woman about to cheat on her husband. She looked like a woman desperate to be seen, to be reminded that she was still desirable, still interesting, still had value beyond being a wife and mother. And he had failed to make her feel that way. He sent a message as Leonardo. "I'm almost there. Sorry for the delay. Complicated traffic." He saw Marina check her phone and smile with relief. He took a deep breath and got out of the car. He walked toward the coffee shop with slow steps, each one heavy as lead. When he pushed the door, a little bell rang, and Marina looked up. Her eyes widened. "Raphael?" she said, her voice loaded with confusion and what seemed like panic. "What are you doing here?" He walked to her table, heart pounding. "I could ask you the same thing. I thought you were meeting a friend." Marina paled. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. I am. She should be arriving." "Really?" Raphael pulled out the chair in front of her and sat down. "Because from what I know, you're waiting for a man named Leonardo Andrade." The world seemed to stop. Marina remained completely still, eyes fixed on him, face a mask of shock and horror. "How did you—" she began, but her voice failed. Raphael grabbed his own phone, opened Instagram, showed her Leonardo's profile.
Because Leonardo is me. Marina looked at the phone screen, then at Raphael, then at the screen again. Her hands began to tremble. The coffee cup almost fell when she put it back on the saucer. You... what? The words came out in a hoarse, incredulous whisper. I created the profile. I set up the meeting with you. Leonardo doesn't exist, Raphael said, his voice firmer than expected, although inside he was falling apart. You closed her eyes for a long moment. When she opened them, there were tears there. Why? Why would you do this? Because you were distant. Because you changed your phone password. Because you stay up at night receiving messages and smiling at the screen in a way you don't smile at me for months. Raphael felt his own voice breaking. Because I needed to know if there was still something here or if you had already left emotionally. So you tested me. It wasn't a question. It was an accusation loaded with hurt and betrayal. You created a fake person, made me trust that person, opened my heart, and it was all a trap. It was to know the truth. The truth? Marina let out a humorless laugh, tears now flowing freely down her face. The truth is that you don't trust me. The truth is that instead of simply asking me what was happening, you preferred to manipulate me, deceive me. You also lied. You said you were meeting a friend. Because I knew how it would look. Marina raised her voice, and some people in the coffee shop looked in their direction. She lowered her tone, but the intensity remained. I knew it would look terrible that I was setting up to meet a man I met on the internet. But you want to know the whole truth, Raphael? I had no intention whatsoever of cheating on you. Then why did you come?
Marina wiped the tears with the back of her hand. Because for the first time in years, someone was really listening to me. Someone made me feel interesting, intelligent, seen. Leonardo, or you pretending to be him, asked me questions about me, about my dreams, my fears, my ambitions. When was the last time you asked me about any of those things, Raphael? He had no answer for that. I came today because I was curious, yes, Marina continued, her voice trembling, curious to know who this person was who seemed to understand things about me that my own husband forgot. I came with fear and guilt and hope, all mixed together. But you want to know what I was gonna do when Leonardo showed up? Raphael just looked at her, unable to speak. I was going to thank him for the conversations, say that it had helped me realize some things, and leave. Because at the end of the day, no matter how interesting Leonardo was, he wasn't you. And I still love you, Raphael. Even when you're distant, even when you're tedious, even when you make me feel invisible, I still love you. Marina's words hit him like a punch. She loved him, still loved him. But he had almost destroyed that with his distrust. Marina, She raised her hand. You had weeks of conversations with me, conversations where I opened my heart completely. You had access to my most intimate thoughts, my fears, my insecurities, and now I need an answer from you. She stared at him, eyes red but determined. What did you learn? In the conversations with me, pretending to be someone else, what did you discover? Raphael felt a lump in his throat. He thought about all the messages, all of Marina's nocturnal revelations. I learned that I failed you, he finally said, voice low. I learned that you feel lonely, even by my side, that you have dreams I never asked about, that you question who you are now that the boys are gone. I learned that you're incredible, talented, deep, and that I was an idiot for letting all that go unnoticed. Marina's eyes closed, new tears falling. I learned that you didn't need Leonardo. You needed me, the version of me that truly listens to you, that sees you, that values you. And I was too cowardly to simply be that person, so I created a fake character to do what I should have been doing all along as your husband. Why didn't you talk to me like Leonardo talked? Why did you need to pretend to be someone else to finally ask me about my life? Because as Raphael, I was afraid of the answers. I was afraid to discover you were unhappy, that the marriage was bad, that I was failing. As Leonardo, I could be curious without the weight of guilt. I could ask questions without fear of what they would say about our failures.
Marina was silent for a long moment. People around them continued their conversations, oblivious to the drama unfolding at that table near the window. "I want to leave now," she finally said. "Marina, please! I need time, Raphael. I need to process all of this. What you did, what I felt, what all this means for us." She grabbed her purse, but before standing up, she looked into his eyes one last time. "But I need you to know one thing." "What?" "All those conversations, all those things I said to Leonardo, I was talking to you. Deep down, I always knew I was talking to you. Not literally, of course, but I was saying all the things I wanted to have the courage to say to my husband. Leonardo was just the safe channel." Raphael felt his own tears burn in his eyes. Marina stood up, but placed her hand on his shoulder for a brief moment. "Go home, Raphael. I'm going too, but not today. I'm going to stay at my sister's house for a few days. I'll call you when I'm ready for us to really talk." And then she left, leaving Raphael alone in that coffee shop where 20 years ago they'd had their first date. The next 3 days were the longest of Raphael's life. The house seemed huge and empty without Marina. He slept poorly, ate poorly, worked poorly. He deleted Leonardo's profile on the first day, as if erasing that lie could undo the damage caused. But he used that time to think, really think. He took an old notebook and started writing all the things he had learned about Marina through the conversations, all her dreams that he had ignored, all the times she had tried to get close and he had pulled away, hidden behind work, fatigue, routine. He wrote about how she wanted to have her own design studio, how she missed traveling, how she loved waking up early and watching the sunrise, but never did it because he liked to sleep late on weekends. How she had stopped playing guitar because she thought no one wanted to listen. How many small deaths of dreams had he witnessed without noticing? On the night of the third day, Marina called. "Hi," she said, voice tired but calm. "Hi," Raphael responded, heart racing. "How are you?" "Confused, hurt, but thoughtful too." "Marina, Let me speak first," she interrupted gently. "I spent these days thinking a lot. About us, about what happened, about what I want." Raphael held the phone tightly, preparing for the worst. "What you did was horrible, Raphael. It was manipulative, it was invasive, it was a betrayal of trust in a way I never imagined you'd be capable of. I know. I'm so sorry. But," she continued, "I also realized something. You cared enough to do something desperate. You were afraid of losing me, and in a distorted and completely wrong way, you tried to reconnect with me." Raphael didn't know what to say. "I'm not saying it's okay," Marina clarified. "It's not. You broke my trust, and that will take time to rebuild. But I also have guilt here. I pulled away. I stopped talking about what I was feeling. I let us transform into two strangers sharing a house." "What are you saying?" Marina took a deep breath.
I'm saying I don't want to throw away 20 years because we were both idiots for a few months. I'm saying I still love you, even being angry with you. And I'm saying that if you really want to save this marriage, if you really want to get to know me again, the real me, not through a fake profile, then we need to start from scratch. From scratch? Couples therapy. Real, honest conversations, even if they're difficult. Real dates where we both try to rediscover each other. And Raphael, if you agree to this, you need to understand it's going to be hard. I'm not just going to forget what happened. You're going to have to prove to me every day that you're committed to this. Raphael felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Genuine hope. I'll do anything. Therapy, difficult conversations, whatever you need. Marina, I want this. I want you. I want us. Then, let's try, she said, and he could hear the small smile in her voice. But slowly, one day at a time. One day at a time.
2 months later, Raphael was sitting in the waiting room of the couples therapist's office, waiting for Marina to arrive. It was their 10th session, and each one had been difficult, painful, but necessary. They were learning to communicate again, to really listen. Marina arrived 5 minutes later, with 2 coffees in hand. She handed one to him with a small smile, that simple gesture that used to be automatic and was now loaded with meaning. "Thank you," he said. "You're welcome." They entered the office together, and for the first time in months, Raphael felt her hand seeking his. He held it, gently, and Marina didn't pull away. It was a small step, but it was a step. 6 months after the meeting at the coffee shop, Raphael woke up to the sound of a soft melody coming from the living room. He got up slowly, confused, and walked there. Marina was sitting on the couch, a guitar in her lap, playing that song he hadn't heard in years. She stopped when she saw him, a bit embarrassed. "Sorry, did I wake you?" she asked. "No," he lied, sitting next to her. "Play more, please." Marina hesitated, but then continued. The song was sad and beautiful, and when she finished, there were tears in Raphael's eyes. "I missed hearing you play so much," he said. "I also missed playing," she responded. "Leonardo reminded me of that." The name still hurt, but less now. They had learned to talk about it without anger, just with the sadness of what could have been lost. "You know what's funny?" Marina said, putting the guitar aside. "Leonardo ended up saving our marriage." Raphael looked at her confused. "He forced us to have the conversations we were avoiding, forced us to face how lost we were. It was horrible and painful, but it was necessary. We would never have gotten here if that hadn't happened." "Have you forgiven me then?" Raphael asked, afraid of the answer. Marina thought for a moment. "I'm forgiving. It's a process. Some days are easier than others, but I'm getting there. I'll spend the rest of my life making up for that." "No," Marina said, taking his hand. "You'll spend the rest of my life simply loving me the right way. That's the only payment I want." Raphael pulled her into a hug, feeling the familiar scent of her hair, the warmth of her body against his, and for the first time in a long time, he felt he was really home. "I love you," he whispered. "I love you too," she replied. And when they kissed, it was different from the mechanical and automatic kisses of recent years. It was a kiss of reconnection, of rediscovery, of promise. 1 year later,
Rafael was helping Marina hang a sign on the door of her new design studio. Marina Alves, Design and Creativity, it said in elegant letters. "It's crooked," she said, laughing. "It's perfect," he insisted, but adjusted it anyway. They had used part of their savings to realize her dream. The studio was small, but it was hers. A space where she could create, dream, be Marina beyond wife and mother. "Thank you," she said, hugging him from behind as he finished hanging the sign. "For what?" "For listening to me, for seeing me, for reminding me of who I am." Raphael turned in her arms, holding her face with both hands. "Thank you for giving me a second chance I didn't deserve." "You did deserve it," Marina said, "because in the end, you never gave up on us. In a strange and completely wrong way, but you never gave up." They stood there, in front of the new studio, embraced as the sun set behind the city buildings. They had traveled a tortuous path, full of pain and mistakes, but they had reached a place better than where they started. Sometimes, Raphael thought, you need to get completely lost to find your way back. And sometimes, the person you're desperately looking for was already there all along, sleeping by your side, just waiting to be seen again. Marina looked at him and smiled, that genuine smile he had first seen in the messages to Leonardo, but that was now all his. "Shall we go home?" she asked. "Let's go," he replied. And hand in hand, they walked back to the car, to the house that was again a home, to the life they had almost lost, but were now rebuilding one day at a time, with honesty, love, and the certainty that some happy endings are won through the most difficult storms. The end.